Yeah. Okay. All right. So let me write that down here in a moment. So did somebody ask if we're going to short the NAS? No, no, no. Where's the camera? No, no, no shorts. Since June the 10th, one of the things we talked about, one of the things that we went all in on was long only. So if the market sells off today, I won't be on that ride, for better or for worse. All right. I can do HPMR only. Where are we? We're still moving higher. Look, remember that if you take a look at the notes, when does Powell open his mouth? 12:30? I won't be surprised to see the markets rally up in front of that, gang. Keep that in mind when it comes to Powell. All right, I can have a V-score and HPMR stack working together. We can do momentum with 10x and 3-8 prop dots and or conviction dots. And then the last thing is our reach, retreat, or retest. Okay, so those are 5 tactics to keep an eye on. I put them in the notes. So Boeing is dragging the Dow down. Thank you, Dan. Shocker. Yeah. All right. So we've got our clearing ranges set, our 30-minute clearing range set. We're also looking at our consumer board. That's what CB stands for, consumer board or conference board. Conference board consumer sentiment, which came in at consumer confidence, came in at 98.1. Okay. Versus 91.4. Consumers are confident. Who knew? Who knew? I'll tell you what. So our neighbors next door, whom we like and just moved in, he got a new job and he's moving to another part of Florida. Good gig. So they had an open house over the weekend, the entire weekend. My gosh, it was like a just in and out, constant flow of people coming to look at that house. And you know, it's amazing to me, but I'm hearing that is pretty common. So maybe the consumer is confident. They're buying stuff. Okay. So V-score is not going to help me out. HPMR is not going to help me out yet. I need a breach, so no breach retreat. So the only other thing that I'm looking at is possibly in my relative outperformer, our NASDAQ, could we get a breach retreat or a momentum play? Now, you might ask, okay, Rod, if it's a breach retreat, this is the indicator set, V-score, HPMR, and Waikiki or FMB. Yes? If you're looking for the Momo, here's the Momo view. There's 138 dot. Check that out. Let's move this FMB to 30. All right. So, was I looking at the wrong thing? Anyways, I want to see a momentum dot. I need some help, and I don't quite have it yet. Not yet. Oh, you know what I could put on this? Hang on, forgot to add it. So what we're talking about, gang, and again, I get a ton of questions on this, and I thought, you know what, it's summertime. It's a good time to start talking about some of these things. How do we trade a breach with more confidence? A lot of you have asked, Rog, I want to trade the breach. I get it that you like a breach retreat, but I'm okay trading a breach or even a breach retest. How do I increase the probability that the momentum is coming in? Well, remember, gang, you know, and I dedicated an entire class to this back in 2018, 19, my gosh. 18 and 19 are just a complete blur. Does anyone else have that problem? They're a complete blur. They just kind of moshed into one giant year of nearly 800 days. So we did a submarket sonar class. And what that was talking about submarket trends. What are the things that are happening below the surface, which we may not be aware of above the surface, but below the surface, volume and size and things like that. Not the very obvious price only driven indicators, but rather prioritizing volume and saying, wait, this is the level that there's a significant amount of volume at. This is the level where there's commitment, right? And then that's where also we keep an eye on our V profile, right? Meaning our value area high, our point of control, and our value area low. Again, more volume defined levels. Of course, a VWAP is that. Of course, a V score is that. So we have a breach, and this is looking a little bit more like breach retreat. Now, for those of you that are wondering, Rob, do we have a breach Momo? I don't think so. I don't. Let me, I want these to line up so they look more similar. Am I like completely throwing anybody off here, or is this kind of making sense? These indicator sets. Tell me straight up. Is anyone going, what the heck? What the heck? All right. So what I want everyone to ask themselves is, first of all, if you know anything about my work, you know that everything is predicated on Dow theory. Everything is based on what the underlying market trend is. Everything that I do is based on what the underlying market trend is. So I want to take advantage of the dominant psychology. Well, on the 10th of June, based on a number of things, I just basically said, we've got a dominant psychology of bullishness, and it's long or nothing. If I want to take a momentum trade, just like we talked about in submarket sonar, I need to know that there's volume, there's participation. That's another way I like to talk about volume, participation. We talk about commitment. That's another way that we talked about volume in that class. Yeah. So it doesn't have to be at odds with each other. It can be either one, right? So if I'm going to go with the momentum trade, well, then the retracement's going to sit on the back burner. Yeah? Okay. So it's making great sense as the best of both. Kelly, thank you, because that's what I want. Thank you. Where is my camera? Thank you. That's what I want you guys to see, that you have a lot of indicators, you have a lot of approaches, you have exhaustion levels. There are ways to take advantage of when the market is going to launch through a particular level. Right now, I think again, that bullish bias, gang, I'm not looking at shorts at all. I'm not looking at the B-score extremes as shorts. I'm looking at them as targets. Pre-Powell, I'm bullish. My gosh, I'm going to be bullish pre-Powell. Now, what I don't have, and if you guys see my head in a swivel, it's because, I don't know, I should turn the camera on at some point. So I've got two charts, TV, another chart. So kind of, I feel like Jean-Luc Picard at the helm of the Enterprise. I wish. So if you see me looking around, I'm just looking at all the different things that I'm always telling you guys I'm looking at. So the idea here is, had I had more, I would love to have seen a 3-8 cross here. I would have loved to have seen that. I want to make sure that it's even active, but I would have loved to have seen a 3-8 cross at the moment of the breach. All right, where's my, so I have 3-8 on, I have 8-13, perfect. Okay. All right. So I would have loved to have seen a 3-8 cross. We've talked about the magic of the boom, boom, 3-8 cross and that little blip of the throttle. That would have been terrific here. I don't have enough right now to say that I'm going to be looking for the market just to launch. So I'm going to go into retreat mode. Okay, let's do the same thing on the ES. Let's go take a look at the same thing on the ES. So I'm looking at a breach retreat here, potentially. Got the breach. I'd like to see the market come back. We'll build these setups here up in a moment. But what about, how's it look on this? And this is even less, this ES chart has even less momentum confirmation than the NQ, even less. So your best momentum. And by the way, do I like, so we talked about trend plus volume and conviction dots or propulsion dots, right? So do I have a trend on the ES? Yeah, I have a trend on the ES. Doesn't mean there's a lot of momentum behind it. Do I have a trend on the NQ? Absolutely. Do I have momentum on the NQ? Yes. Got it? So I'm not replacing. One is not supplanting the other. They're two completely different measuring sticks. It's like having a ruler in inches and a ruler in centimeters. It's just measuring two different things. Okay. So long or nothing. Okay, back to Dow has not, so scratch the Dow. We don't even have a breach on the Dow. We do have a breach on the RTY, however. We do have a breach on the RTY. Okay. Notice these are the 10X candles, by the way. They're all yellow. No momentum. No momentum. Here, notice how fresh the uptrend is. I don't have propulsion dots. I've only got a handful of green grab candles in a row. Do you see how they work together? Do you see how they're working together? All right. So I would say no to the YM. I kind of like, meh, on the RTY. ES is a maybe. And the only reason the ES is a maybe, it's a little further along in terms of the trend. I think momentum will follow suit, but it's going to track with the NQ. So where's my focus? All right. Where's my focus? On the NQ and the ES coattailing it. All right. Okay. So, wow. It's very unimpressive so far. It's the end of, by the way, gang, even if we did not have Fedpalooza, I'm looking at all the charts here. Even if we did not have Fedpalooza, this would still be an end of quarter, end of month caution day. Yeah? Okay. All right. So let's tackle a few questions here. I can't share the 10X. No, gang, because that's John's indicator. That's a class. That's John's indicator. Yeah. No can do, my friend. You know I hate saying no to you, Rocky. There will be fun and games. Rick, if there's going to be a sell-off, maybe after Powell. So for those of you that are wondering, let's throw this into the notes. If, and that's a big if. I'm putting this in the notes, okay? There is a rollover in the uptrend, however you want to describe it, a de-risking, a pullback, whatever. It will most likely be with or after Powell. And it's not just Powell, it's Powell Mnuchin. All right. You got both of them. You get two chuckleheads for one. 12:30. All right. Adriana, how about the HPMR? Is that free? Yeah, Adriana, I include a limited set of symbols for you all in the room drive. Yeah, the HPMR is free. You got it. Okay. Yeah, sorry, Rocky. I can't throw it out here in the chat, buddy. The horizontal indicator. What is the horizontal indicator on the Momo chart? The horizontal indicator on the Momo chart. So the Momo chart, I've got Propulsion dots. Yeah, I've got a couple of things that I'm playing around with. Yeah, I got, I'll tell you for sure. Got the squeeze, got 10X, got conviction, got propulsion, which is free. Gang, the propulsion's in the room drive. I got some volume strength. And that should be it. It's a pretty clean chart. It's a pretty simple chart. I got the HPMRs on here too. Yeah. But, you know, Rick, I agree with you. There's going to be shenanigans, fun and games, as you say. Yeah. After Powell. After Powell. What do the dots mean? FOMO, MOMO? Now, so I know a lot of you are familiar with 10X. It's our second most popular indicator in Simplerville. Squeeze, 10X. It is the dots, the cyan colored dots. That's volume, gang. Those are conviction dots. That's volume. Eric was working on something like that for me with when we go into classes, my glasses are filthy. When we go into classes, we'll sit with Eric. I'll also sit with David, and I'll ask, hey, can we do this and this? That's how V-score bands came about. By the way, the V-score bands came about because I asked David, hey, can I plot the V-score on the chart? And he said, yeah, because he's a genius. Eric also unbelievable on the indicator side. So one of the things I was curious about with the breaches was, hey, do we have something that would help confirm momentum through that? And this tool dates back to 2017, gang. And he said, yeah, why don't you try the conviction dots, the volume strength or whatever. There's an official name for them. I think John calls them conviction dots or something. So that's where when a lot of you are saying, hey, Rog, I want to take advantage of momentum, it's a whole different indicator set. It's a whole different indicator set. And if you guys are interested in that, let me know. We'll keep talking about it because John's done a class on it. And we have the indicator out there. And a lot of you already have the indicator. So maybe it's a really great way to give you another alternative what to do with it when we break certain levels. And maybe those levels are going to coincide with volume profile. See, another cool thing that you can put on a momentum-based layout, for those of you that have the VWAP, VWAP Max, is throw the V profile on there. Throw the V profile on there. All right. Anchor to 930. Another cool thing you can do. How is the market responding at certain levels? Like we have 2 red propulsion dots now. And I don't know, are you guys getting 2 red propulsion dots on your ES? Yeah? Okay. On one of my charts I am, on the other one I'm not. What the heck? Be good if I turn them on. Duh. Okay. All right. Yeah, we're getting some nice red propulsion dots there. And by the way, if you have, and propulsion's free, gang, head over into the room drive and you can download the FMB propulsion study, because what FOMO Momo Bozo did for us is consolidate them to one really easy to activate indicator. So if you're on toss, definitely do that one. All right, super easy. Let me make sure I've got all these propulsion dots on. All right. Excellent. Okay. I'm make sure I got a lot of water today. Okay. Squeeze in 10X. Yeah. Sean? Yeah. I'll show you guys how to do that because again, if you're playing some of the volume tools via the submarket sonar class, and you're looking for where the momentum might come in, like I would have liked to have seen the ES follow through. But some of you might say, but wait a minute, Rob, ES had two 3-8 crosses. That is true. Right around the breakout area. That's as far as I'm concerned, gang. That's a decent little buy. But if you're wondering why didn't it take off better, more convincingly, and quicker than it did, look over to our NAS. I've said many, many times, the ES will go where the NASDAQ lets it. The NAS is the dog walker. The ES is the dog. So in terms of the ES potentially breaking out, I'm not seeing anything yet. I'm sorry, on the NASDAQ breaking out, I'm not seeing anything that's going to help us yet. So a little lethargic, gang. The NASDAQ's a little lethargic. So kind of cool your jets maybe on a potential ES bummer breakout. I would have loved to have seen that. All right. Oh, are they available for MT4, Sean? No, my friend. Not. I mean, in terms of popularity of platforms, TOS by a landslide. TradeStation comes in a distant second. I'd say probably TradingView and Ninja are toggling for a very distant third. And then MT4 is like a distant 44th. So mostly you're going to find TOS and TradeStation. Yeah. Okay. Am I long Facebook? Oh, yeah, we can take a look at that. So I talked about looking to get long Facebook. Yeah, gang, I've got a longer term. Look, this is the way Facebook is going to go. This is me. This is certainly not, let me just put it out there. We've seen many times where Facebook does things where advertisers have to get upset by it. Do I think that Facebook is like this evil thing and all these corporations are these good people who are just, please, they're all from the same sack of beep, right? But they've got to look like they're upset with Zucks. They've got to look like they're definitely unhappy with what's going on the platform. There is no other platform like Facebook on the planet. They are coming back. They are coming back. Okay? They've got to do their PR stuff. Like the guy from Lululemon goes on and says, I watched that yesterday. It's a giant dumb box behind me as opposed to a tiny dumb box to my left here. So the guy from Lululemon, smart guy, they're running a heck of a business. They're doing really great on growth, even in this environment. And so during the thing, he said, yes, we're putting out, they're pausing. No one said we're leaving the platform. No one's deleted any accounts, right? That's how much conviction they've got to this. And the woman who was interviewing them on CNBC, and I'm hats off to her for asking, she goes, look, there's no other platform like Facebook on the planet. Aren't you guys just taking a 1-month break and you're going to be right back on it? And of course they are. He held his poker face really, really, really well. Of course they're going to be back. There's not, Instagram, Facebook, these are juggernauts. They just have to do what looks good right now, and that's what they're doing. Again, when I see Lululemon delete their Facebook account, then I'll believe you. Right? But what's going to happen? They're going to say, well, we've talked to Facebook and we've come to a meeting of the minds and they're going to do this and whatever nonsense. And back to business they will go. And Facebook's just going to have to deal with a little bit of chop. Now, take a look at the chart of Facebook. Who asked me this? Alex. Alex, look at where we sold off to. Now, I know Facebook's trend got annihilated. Yes. But remember, we always respect the trend that was. Ooh, hang on, Alex. I'm going to come back to this because we're getting a little bit of movement to the upside here. Some nice momentum through the value area high, through the clearing range. Gang, my hands are a little tied. I'd love to get long. This is a retest zone aggro at best. I don't want to short this. Maybe after 12:30. We'll see. Maybe after Powell starts talking. But it's long or nothing. The problem is I'm not getting really great momentum indication, and I'm not getting a retracement. But if you're going to do anything, I think even a shallow retracement to the 21, back to the retest of the breach level, it's better than buying at a higher high. Yeah, but I would be long. Exactly. Deep Putty, no conviction, but I'm sure as heck not going to short this. Yeah, I'm not going to short this. YM? Okay. Is everyone clear on my bias, gang? Because I definitely got a lot of bias. Is everyone clear on my bias? It's long or nothing. All right. Okay. Yeah. Yep. What? Yep. Okay. This is my retracement indicator set. I've got all the propulsion dots and the wave and the VWAP and all those volume indicators, V profile, V score. Most importantly, I've got my breach that's just daring the Dow to come back to say it's 25,420. All right. So we can come down to 420. We'll call that our Elon Musk level. If we can come down to 420, then maybe. As far as a breach through the clearing range high, no. I mean, some of you might say, Ron, it's looking like we might get a squeeze firing off here. I really would have loved to have seen. So why would I ignore a squeeze here? Why would I ignore the momentum of that indicator, of this indicator set? I don't have momentum by way of the candles. I don't have any conviction dots. The only reason this would go up is if the NQ took it with it. All right. So I'm right now looking at, oh, sorry, this is the Dow. The only way I would look for it is if we could see green and a little bit more bullishness. That one, ooh, look at that one red 3/8 dot there. Ooh, that could be interesting, gang. Keep an eye on that red dot. We get two of those. If it holds and we get two of those, maybe that Dow could be primed for a move, but it would be kind of aggressive, that 3/8 plus momentum. But I'm not getting any significant volume, right? And I'm looking at volume a couple different ways, gang, but I'm not getting any significant volume. All right. So can we take advantage of a pullback? I'd love to see a pullback, but there's two kinds of pullbacks. Think about the flavor of pullbacks that we have. Where's my drawing tool? All right. So there's two kinds. This is a retest. What is it a retest of? It's a retest of the resistance of the breach, clearing range breach. Got it? Does that make sense? And I'm looking at all the other stuff. We're starting to get some dots. No. Womp, 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 womp. Aye, okay. Huh. All right. So the other thing we're looking for is a retreat, maybe to the point of control. That would be still a little aggro, but ideally we sink down to the zone of support that represents the clearing range correction. And that's a Fibonacci retracement zone right in here. Okay. That's ideal. That's the lowest risk. Because remember, your risk is all of that. Does that make sense? Your risk is all of that. So I think ultimately what you want to remember is simple question. What will it cost me if I'm wrong? How bad will it hurt my account? Is that greater than 2 to 5%? Mentally, is it more than I'm ready to handle? Is a move from 30.53, 30.54 down to 30.37 detrimental to my account or my psyche? All right. So This is a retest zone. And affordability has to be part of that conversation. Can I afford to be wrong from that level? Okay. And again, gang, I know I'm like the caution day girl, but this is a caution day. I mean, not only is it end of month, end of quarter. I mean, what Fed member is not speaking? Everyone's getting a mic shoved in front of them today. But buy or nothing, gang. That's a retest. Does everyone understand the difference between retest and retreat? Am I going to buy? So what do I do at a retest? What I like to do at a retest, if anything at all, what I like to do at a retest is I'll pull up the options chain and I'll look at, for example, the ES futures or the SPY. And I will look for, oh man, I was wondering if they had the weekly expiration. They don't. All right, bummer. Okay. What I'll do is I'll pull up the SPY and I'll look for at the money calls for next Friday's expiration. So in a day like today, I'd like to trade smaller, caution day. On a day like today, I'd like to use options, caution day. And from an aggro level, options would be fine there. Or micros. For those of you trading through Infinity, micros would be absolutely fine. All right. That's what that NQ is doing. YM couldn't hold the dots. Darn it. Okay, let me tackle some more questions here, gang. All right. Hey there, Andrew. Feels like the market is pushing higher with no pullbacks to get some FOMO bozos to break and give into the buy at the high before they say. Andrew, I mean, that's a really good narrative. And it's a good, I love that you've spelled out a very specific scenario, because I think what great traders do, or at least really, really, really good ones, is they're able to imagine different scenarios. They're able to, think of a great athlete. They're visualizing the game, the match, right? The test, the race, the whatever, the fight. They're visualizing it, and different scenarios work within that visualization. I don't know. I only know a handful of athletes, like at a really elite level. And the one that I know the best, there was a visualization process so she's a swimmer. If she had a bad takeoff from the, what do they call those? The blocks. When you swim, those big elevated slanted things. If she had a bad launch, how would she recover? And she'd have a visualization for that. If she had a bad turn, again, it was really interesting seeing her work with her through those things. What if the turn is bad? What if this is bad? What if the suit rips? Well, then you're screwed. But all those things are part of it. So what I like that you've done, Andrew, there's a scenario, right? But also have other scenarios. Don't let that be the only one. And I'm telling you, I'm as guilty of that as anybody. I used to have one scenario, and that's, for me, that was ego. It's got to be this, So if I have multiple scenarios, I can adapt to, of course, all the different things that would happen. That kind of joke is scenario out. What would happen if, like Independence Day style, there were giant spaceships hovering over New York? And just scenario it all out. Be ready for any of those possibilities. So I like it. So is that one scenario? I'm with you. This market doesn't seem like it wants to continue. And for all the reasons I keep saying, let's be bullish, the best one that's probably going to work for us if this market wants to stay range bound is going down to that zone, pulling back to here. And then all we're looking for is just get back to the resistance of the clearing range high. That's it. Okay. So this would be a buy, and that would be T1. If we can get there. You could look probably aggressively at the VWAP. All right. I'm not seeing the signs of, gosh, we're definitely not seeing the signs of momentum, gang. So a lot of folks have, now, one thing I will tell you, and it happened quick, is see that right there? And we moved up a little bit. It's not that it didn't work. See that one dot right there? We moved up a little bit, just a little bit, and then it sunk back down. Sometimes momentum can just be, whoop, that's it. That's it. Now, had we, let me put something else out there. Had that happened on a day other than today, do you think that would have worked better? I'll tell you from experience, that would have worked better. Yeah. Eric put conviction dots on one of my indicators as a, you know, I have him work on, you guys know a lot of little indicators are always in Roggy Labs. And he put that on one of my tools, like not with the 10X, but just the dot. And a lot of folks say, well, can I put conviction dots on grab candles? Yeah, of course. Of course. Absolutely. Just make sure they look different, because then they'll kind of look like a propulsion dot. But for momentum traders looking to play breaches, looking to play breaks through resistance or support, the 3-8 propulsion and the conviction is going to be very, very helpful. Okay. Next up is hang on, am I missing some questions? Am I looking for a retest, JB? I mean, that would be aggressive, but I'm okay with that. Yeah. When the move back down shows high velocity, does that affect my limit buy and bias? Yes, I think what it affects is my wanting to know why. I'll look at the time. I'll look if there was an event. I'll look if there's a headline. I'll look to my dumb box to my left and see if someone's on the TV yakking away. So I think the first thing that crosses my mind, and that's a terrific question. That's a really good question. Why is it happening? And if I can't find a why, Zero Hedge isn't having anything. I'm not seeing anything on Forex Live. It's not a particular time. It's not a data release. It's not some chucklehead on television. I cannot find a why like that. I'll typically fade it, and I'm fine with it. Does that make sense? Does that make sense? Okay. But yes, I'm okay with a retest. I'm okay with a retest, gang, of the, and it's not really so let's talk a little bit about what a classic retest should look like. A classic retest should actually put some space between the clearing range and the follow through. There should be a little bit of space. We didn't really move that much, did we? I mean, you could say maybe that, and then that brings us back to what was once resistance, right? What was once resistance turns into, of course, support. So now on the way back down, it's support. Does that make sense? So yeah, I mean, it's not ideal. We really don't have, maybe the ES has done a slightly better job putting some distance between that clearing range high and coming back down, more so than the NQ. Let me show you that. See that? That's better. But notice there's very little momentum there. Very little. Is there a trend there? I would still be, so let me make sure I keep coming back to this. Retests are fine. They're aggro, but I'd much rather see a retreat. I'd much rather see a retreat. Okay. Yeah, Alex, I'll tell you what, a lot of people ask me about weekly charts. I'm going to tell you straight up, and this is not meant to dismiss the question or even the comment. I could care less what a weekly is doing. And here's why. Unless it's going to go into my portfolio and my time horizon for the hold of that position is much longer. The way in which a weekly is going to reflect price movement range is very different than a daily. So a weekly can remain in an uptrend far longer than sometimes a daily. Then you've got to ask yourself, am I willing to hold my position based upon the price movement ranges and distance and points that the weekly presents, because I think one of the worst habits I see people do in terms of taking and managing the risk is setting up a trade on the weekly, but then managing it on the daily, which is why I don't believe in multiple time frame confirmation. If you want to play the weekly, play the weekly, and I'm down with that. But I think what a lot of people do is they look at the weekly trend and they go play the daily. And the weekly can just keep right on trucking, and the daily could just go through an earthquake and shake you out. While the weekly said, why did you leave the party? Things were fine here. So that saying, you leave with the person you came to the dance with. That's how I feel about time frames. If I set something up on a weekly, I'm going to stick with that weekly. Yeah. Okay. But I totally get if you want to use that as a trend confirmation, that's cool. But just remember that the weekly's validity is very different than the daily's validity. That's oftentimes, that's kind of the way I look at it. Could we wait for a deeper pullback, Sean? I mean, that's always something we can do. The risk on that is that we don't get it, right? No, I don't mind. Oh, Sean, I don't mind the options question. I talk about options on futures and using at the money calls. Really, really simple. I mean, I'm not going to get into a butterfly or iron condor. I mean, as complicated as I get is directional calls and puts and vertical spreads. Super, super, super simple. And I'm going to say this at the risk of some people saying, well, Rog, that's not true. I'm able to do that, which, of course, there's always going to be exceptions. If you can't play directional, if a trader cannot play directionally and does not know how to offset cost or loss via vertical, I'm going to say this with a lot of confidence. You're never going to trade options well by then saying, well, maybe I just need to, use iron condors or butterflies or whatever else. The building block to every more multi-leg, complicated options strategy is directional and verticals. I mean, it's some kind of mix of that. Does that make sense? My more fluent options traders will know this. It's always going to be a mix of those basics. And if you get those basics down, then everything else becomes easy peasy lemon squeezy. Yeah. But a lot of people get upset because a lot of folks say, well, people who play directional options don't win. Yeah, most of them don't. In fact, let's just say trading on the whole, right? Why stop at options, right? If that's the excuse to say, well, you shouldn't play directional options because most of them expire worthless or whatever, most people lose. Well, then let's just say that's the case for most of trading. So I've always felt that argument holds zero water for me. It does make sense? Cool. So to your point, yeah, I don't mind the options conversation because there's options on futures and there's options on the ETFs that track the futures. So the deeper the pullback, the more momentum to the downside, the better advantage you have to putting it, as I say, a greedy bastard bid in on an option and getting your fill at a really nice blue light special price, right? Okay. I noticed with the RTY, Karthik, I was just looking at the RTY. It's such a laggard. I mean, look, I know the Dow pullback there too. It's such a laggard. I don't need the Momo set up for this. There we go. Oh, it's such a choppy laggard. But yeah, you're right. Down to the -1. It's not a bad looking. It's just such a darn laggard. But it is a valid entry. That it is, Karthik. Good eye. I like the RTY better than the YM for the simple reason that it did pull back. And when it pulled back, it tested the V-score lows of 930 to 10. That was kind of nice. Yeah, we might have missed that one. Wow, that was the RTY was a really nice one. Let me show you the RTY again. It's nuanced, but it's there. 930 to 10. Look at that V-score low right there, right around the -1, actually just below the -1. But then here we are pulling back to -1, that 930 to 10, and we've got a breach, and that's a retreat. I don't know if that value area low was there already. I don't know if that volume derived level was there already. at that point in time, or if it was in the aftermath of that pullback. That's a nice trade. All we're looking for is possibly getting up to 1420, the value area high, and then maybe the clearing range, but this market's extremely stuck in a range. Okay. Hang on again. Let me take a look at some of the other questions here. Test of the overnight high on the ES. The overnight high, or the high that I was watching closely, was 30.54. But to your point, yeah, we're at those Asian session highs. You mentioned that. And Money Mike? Yeah. Yeah. Good catch. I mean, it's resistance. So target, it's not going to persuade me to not be bullish, but yeah, good eye. Yeah, really good eye. Very nice. Okay. Easy says seeing me on the screen makes it easier to follow. Oh, really? Okay. All right. Well, whatever helps. Whatever helps. I'm all, look, whatever it takes. I mean, I could get some sock puppets out or something. I'll have to ask David it where I can see myself. Like I said, I can see my camera. And then he does that cool thing where the background is transparent, but I guess my background here isn't too bad. Thanks. I appreciate it. All right. Next question is, my point of control doesn't line up with yours. Am I missing a setting on the volume profile indicator? Rick H. Oh, and JB, retest is fine, but it's aggro. Retreat is my preference. On the ES, yes, my friend. Either or, but remember, each one presents a completely different look and exposure to risk. You're taking risk in two completely different ways. Does that make sense? Okay. My point of control does not line up with yours. Am I missing a setting? Well, it should be anchored to 930. Number one, Rick. So check that. I'm going to check mine too. Does yours look like that? 930? Or I'm guessing you're on Thinkorswim, but if you're not, I'll pull it up on Toss or TradeStation. And then the other thing I would recommend is just double check that under settings, you've got the show extended hours trading session checked. All right. So hopefully that makes sense. Gold, Corinne, I love gold. I mean, you guys know the only problem with gold is that I think we still have the bullish bias. I don't want to be short gold. That'd be bananas. But I don't have the same kind of clarity that we had before, right? Judith, conviction dots are a separate tool. I'm just kind of showing you some of the tools. Back in 2018, April, March, or was it 17? Oh, no, it was 18. It was 18. John and I did a day trading class. He and I tag teamed and did a day trading class. The market volatility went ballistic. Some of you might remember. And he and I said, I think we turned this class around in just a few weeks. Said, hey, people need to know how to manage volatility, how to play momentum, how to play retracements, and everything else. And he and I tag team and did a day trading class. And I think he used some of the 10X and conviction dots and those things that he released back in 2017. And then I used my TOPS tools that I had also released back in 2017. Funny enough, John's original 10X class and my TOPS class, two color-coded candle classes were back to back. The cool thing is they measured two completely different things. So I'll talk to the office and see, what we can do. But a lot of you already have that because at the time, that was one of our huge classes. That was a huge class. A lot of you, I try to think of tools that most of you probably already have as being members of the Simpler community. So you see, Rick, you got it sorted out? Okay, cool. AS, it happened to me today. Earlier this morning, I wanted to sell YM at 5:30 and I was sell. Just kidding. And it was trading at 470. At that time, it shot up to 550 very quickly, and there was nothing on my calendar. I got filled, scared, and got out at 500. And it carried down and doing exactly what I thought. Probably like reason number 909 that I don't trade with a physical stop. But I hear you. And kudos for noticing the volatility. Kudos for, yeah, it's tricky. If I cannot find a headline, a soundbite, someone on the television, what else? If I can't find on Zero Hedge, on Forex Live, on the economic, if I can't find the why, I'll leave it be. The other thing you could do, my friend, is check out the, hang on, my trade station just flipped out. Okay. The other thing you could do is, hang on. Trade station is flipped out. All right. Anyway, the other thing you do is check out the expected price movement range. So do you have auto chartist? If you don't, that's fine. But if you do, one thing you do is check out auto chartist, or actually, were the HPMRs in play? Did you notice that the HPMRs were in play at that moment in time? Oh, your sell limits were the EPMRs. Okay. Okay. Now which one? How far out? 15, 30? The other thing you can check out is if the HPMRs are in play next time. You can definitely check that out. Do I still look for a 38.2 to 50% retracement of the clearing range for a pullback entry? That's one zone. Alex, it's actually 38.2 to 61.8. So the zone that you're seeing, for example, on the, oh, wow, look at this market go all of a sudden. Okay. What the? Wow. Okay, wait a minute. I don't know if there's some Facebook news coming out. I see here that Zero Hedge posted something about demoting stories by anonymous authors and all right. Well, like I said, don't want to be short this market. So I would check out that as well. And sometimes these things are going to happen, especially, again, I don't call these things caution days for nothing. What that means is we're going to see a higher degree of unpredictability. We're going to see a higher degree of volatility. It's not that our tactics won't trigger and won't work. It's that the risk-taking is higher. The risk is higher that we're taking. The volatility is more unpredictable. Does that make sense? That's what they're caution days. It's not that we don't have ways to trade this. It's actually that it's far more difficult to manage the risk on days like today. And yes, Alex, it's the 38.2 to the 61.8. All right. 12:30 Dallas is Powell, 12:30. It's in the notes too. One thing I want to mention though is they have already released a prepared statement that came out yesterday. I already saw it on the Federal Reserve site. So that already came out. So when they ask questions, that's the unknown, but the testimony has already